almost alphabetically. Alice, did King Henry treat you badly, child?
At night, I liked to skip around the library singing tunes to amuse myself. The king yelled at me and said I gave him a headache.
Oh no!
I told him not to be angry about it. I offered to show him some of the comic books. I was sure they would make him smile. To this he replied gruffly that kings had more important things to do than think about comic books. Pinocchio and I would often team up for a game of hide and seek. It's also fun, isn't it, Pinocchio?
The king kept. Well, oh. The king loved us.
Okay, one time I was hiding and the king came along with Snow White. When the king caught sight of me, I'd forgotten that I'd come out of my book when I was 9 feet high, and hiding wasn't easy. He called me a spy and pulled my pigtails till I cried. I was still 9 feet tall. Thankfully, Pinocchio stopped me in time so that my tears didn't cause any flood damage.
LOL.
Cinderella,
Yes. I got
this is
confused.
not an alert group. The question for you is, you do look a little bit distraught, Cinderella. I can well understand that it was no fun being chased by the King Henry.
No.
Someone please give the lady your handkerchief, if you would like to be so kind, so that she can wipe her brow. How did you stop the king from stealing your slippers?
Well, I'm very small, as you would well know, and he's so large that it was easy for me to get away from him. I ran as fast as he could, and being such a large man, he didn't catch up with me. If he did get a hold of me, I called to Aladdin, and his genie would come to my assistance. I am lucky to have such friends.
You are my best friend in the library, aren't you, Cinderella?
Yes, I am lucky to have such a kind friend as you, Aladdin, and one with so much charm. But I must also tell you that on other occasions, my tears would bring my fairy godmother to my aid. She often brought with her a pumpkin, which she turned into a chariot and carried me away. The king said if I continued to avoid him, he would see to it that I would be made to clean and scrub the library floors. Oh, he left me so distraught that when I returned to my book, the other characters kept asking me if I were ill.
Sounds like motive to me.
Ooh. And Snow White. Oh, wait,
Snow White, yes,
Snow White has to be asked the question first.
Oh.
Snow White!
Yes,
Why
yes, sir.
did you turn down the king's marriage proposal?
Well, I'm already married to a kind and handsome prince. And besides, I don't even like the king. He's very large and very fat, and I prefer smaller men, and I don't just mean dwarfs. The king really was a nuisance. I felt someone should teach him some manners. The king always thought that he would treat people the way he wanted to. But sometimes the king would ask me to dine with him, but I refused because he eats like a pig. Cinderella and I are friends. We are both married to princesses, and we feel we have something in common.
Aww. Best friend.
Bonding is such a nice thing.
Yes.
And Pinocchio. So how did you stop King Henry from making you his slave?
Well, I told him that if he wasn't careful, I would ask the good fairy to turn him into a donkey.
Oh.
ASS. The king kept giving me things to carry for him. I said that lazy people were often turned into donkeys, but he just laughed. Now, Cinderella and I were both Italians because we were written by Italian people. And she and I were buddies, and she said the king kept bothering her, and I had the idea that I could save her.
Thank you, Pinocchio.
Should I keep
Are
going?
we done? Oh, yeah.
You should keep going.
The other thing the king did, which annoyed me, was that he kept pulling on my nose, and I am not lying. Just because it's long, it doesn't mean people should pull on it. When I told him to stop doing that, he told me little boys should be seen and not heard. My father, Geppetto, sold a coat from his back to help me out, but I knew that the king was not like that. He was very selfish.
Robin Hood, so it was a political battle between you and King Henry?
Oh yes, in some ways, but in other ways, It was to do with his ego and his lack of concern for the common man. Because